Hello everyone. I hope you all are doing fine and you can hear me loud and clear right now. So today what we're going to talk about we're going to session on fiction drama. Previously we talked about Augustan poetry where we discussed all poems by who Alexander Pope, right? And we made a lot of codes and all the order, chronology order of his work we all remembered. So actually you get question from that itself. And you sometime you get questions on the quotes and whatever the quote is important, like in essay on man, essay on criticism, all this we already discussed. And today it's very important session because you are definitely going to see one question from this session itself. It's very important because whenever you have attended the exam, you might have seen one question on magazine and periodical every single time. So in that case it's very important, and these days they're not asking very difficult question on periodicals. They usually ask who is associated with whom and also the chronological order. They used to ask a lot of difficult question like how many essay written by Steele in Tatler or in Spectator, but these days that trend is gone. So in the past 6 to 7 years they didn't ask any deep question. They definitely ask about Steele, what they asked about his drama part all the time, and also Addison's drama part. So very important that you should know that they have asked their drama section not from the periodicals but from the dramas. In that case this particular session would be really important for you, that you should not miss it. Right, I hope you all are ready, and if you're ready just write ready in the chat box, so I'll kind of you know that how many of you are there. Anyway, I don't see anyone right now, but later in the session they'll join anyway. So let me tell you about Augustan prose, fiction, and drama. We're gonna cover prose, a couple of drama, both Addison and Steele, and then we'll talk about Swift tomorrow because today we don't have much time. And again, these because we are already every time we kind of exceed 1 hour, and my target is only 1 hour per session, but most of the time it get kind of exceed every single time. So today we'll try to kind complete in 1 hour, and we'll also solve at around 10 plus questions on whatever the question they have asked previously, right? So let's continue. And today we're not gonna talk about what we have studied so far. That we will do tomorrow when we have enough time, but today we're gonna have to complete all these stuff, right? So first I'm gonna tell you about the important event at this time. So what happened? Licensing Act, and it is basically what it is, a kind of modified by Theatre Act of 1843 to 1968. Very important. Mostly it is about British theatre. Remember the date is very important, 1737. And what happened, it was about also the censorship applied to political and religious content. So before it used to, like in Elizabethan time, right, so many content, and also in Jacobean time, and even in restoration they were actually modeled on a kings or a queen, but this time it has they have introduced that licensing act, and censorship applied here itself, right? So again, that censorship was kind of paused during English Civil War. Remember our Caroline era, and a stage play written when only after 1660, right? And who was there to kind of oversaw this censorship? It was Robert Walpole. You know him, and you know how, you know why, you can just write in the chat box, right? So, and again, now let me tell you about what else happened at this Augustan time, especially that era, 1702 to 1784. The clubs and coffee houses kind of, started trending. These days also people are going to Starbucks and having chat and all the discussion on. So same thing, that trend started where? In Augustan prose, right? Augustan time. And what happened? Coffee houses kind of established, right? Many poets and writers, they were in a group and they talk about all these things together, different kind. And uh, this was very important. And why? Because Alexander Pope actually heard this story, that gossip about that, Peter and Belinda and all. He actually made a poem on this. So, in that case, you know how important this coffee houses were at that time, right? And again, sometime what happened? Alcohol contributed to chaotic coffee houses environment, and these things also happened. When something good happens, there are chances that bad could happen, right? So now let me tell you about some clubs. So first was Scribblers Club. Very important. They used to ask a lot of questions. They still ask sometime, especially they are in the statement kind of, one option will be there and not direct question from these clubs and all, but they will appear in one of these options, right? So Scribner Club is what? It is an informal group of London authors, and you know who were there? Key figure our Swift, Pope, and Gay. And you remember what they wrote together? Gay, Pope, and Arbuthnot together. What was the result of this club? Was our 3 hour marriage, right? Our marriage. Very important. This is very important because you're going to get question from that itself, because they have been asking this question, like it's trending. It's been 2 years. They are asking question based on the 3 hour marriage, right? So this is very important that you should little bit pay attention and of course remember what I'm trying to say here. So members, again, who were there? Gay, Arbuthnot. Remember the date, 1714, and it ended in 1745, right? And Pope and Swift had the most lasting influence from the club. Of course, they created a lot of satirical persona, and one of them is very important, Martinus Scribblers. Right, most of their work was unpublished until 1745 after closing this club. Right, and some of them were also important figure, and of course politician. They sometime come into these clubs, and who are they? Robert Harley and Henry St. James. Not for you to remember, but you should know there was not only there were authors, poets, and writers or dramatists, but also who were there? Some politician. Remember, their work inspired the memoir of Martinus Scribblers. Very important. And of course, Pope's Dunciad second edition included who? The character Scribblers material. And Richard on Cambridge wrote the Scribblard. So all these based on that it has been written. And Henry Fielding wrote what? Welsh opera was tribute to Scribblians. Right, and Fielding used the pen name, as you know, Scribblers Secundus. Not Fielding not only used one pen name, but plenty of it. That we'll discuss when we talk about Henry Fielding. Okay, let's move on to another club which was also equally important, and why it is important? Because of these Congreve, Locke, Addison, and Vanbrugh. Right, so Kit Kat Club. Remember the members, you can just make code like Kit Cat con, you can Congreve, you can make con, Lock, add, and warn. So together you can create any code you want to, but you have to remember all these members in that. And there were politicians also, and only two politicians are important: Duke of Somerset and Sir Robert Walpole. Right. And this name actually came from where? Mutton pies. There was famous dish there which was known as Kit Kats, because Kit was the who were cooking about this, I mean this pie, and that's how the name came out. This is a kind of tavern. They met in Trumpet Tavern and Water Oakley in Berkshire. Okay, so that's all you have to remember in the Kit Kat Club. Not anyway, you're not going to get question, but they will appear in your option as I told you in a. So in that to remember all these. Right now, first important periodical writer, or you can also say dramatist. He also wrote drama. Why we are adding dramatist these days? Because you are always going to get one question on his drama part, and which is that usually the conscious lover. Right, so this in particular work is very important because in the past 4 5 years they are asking about his drama part rather than what his periodicals. Right, so let me tell you about Sir Steele. Remember 1672 1629, because you always get question on the chronology of their birth. So remember Steele, and as Addison was his student, so basically he'll come later. So we have Addison, right, and Bacon of course before him. Samuel Johnson will come maybe between that or maybe early, we'll just check on it. Johnson, right, so these have to know. And Matthew Arnold you might get, or Charles Lambs, or maybe Daniel Defoe, because he also wrote a period that we'll talk about. These people together who belong to in kind of similar section or similar categories, that's why you have to remember all of them together in a chronological order that will make at the end of our session. Anyway, let me tell you about the Richard, born in 60 in Dublin. Very important. He was an Irish, not a British, but Irish. Very important. And yeah, we know that he's an atheist. We know he was journalist. We didn't know that he was politician, but also dramatist. Kind of had an idea that he has written, but now you have to kind of focus on his drama part, because in your exam you're going to get one question on that. Anyway, let me tell you about Richard Steele. What fame he has. Actually, he is best known for what? The Tatler and the Spectator. Collaborated with Joseph Addison on the Spectator. Remember, the Tatler and the Spectator, they were also kind of political, periodical, because Tatler got closed because of these issue between Tory and Whig. So they have to close this down and open the new one. Otherwise, they would not have closed, and then there would not have been a Spectator also. So very important, this thing between why it was closed while it was running very well, and suddenly it got closed, not because he suddenly decided to close, but because of the pressure of these party leader. So that's very important, that you should have uh, kind of idea, right? So again, collaborated with Addition on this Spectator. Steele had varied career due to, anyway, not important, educated in Charterhouse. Just have an idea that he was a guy of expert from, I mean, Oxford, right? And joined the army as a cadet. Not important. Remember what is important. He was a Whig MP. That's why he wrote in Tatler all about, it was based on. But when Tory came and the dispute happened between Whig and Tory, they closed it down, and then they started a Spectator, and it was on who? Tory. So That's what you have to remember. Later became a Tory and quarreled with Addison also, and published several periodicals, as you know, and one of them is Tatler. Remember the date, 1709, right? And he wrote the, not with his name but a pseudonym, Isaac Bickerstaff. All the time you get question based on this thing, right? And what false art of life in Tatler, very important to remember this phrase, to expose the false arts of life, to pull off the disguises of cunning, vanity, and affection, and to recommend a general simplicity in our dress, discourse, and our behavior. Another important thing you have to remember that in Tatler, Steele wrote 188 out of 271, and the rest is written by who? Addition, which is 40, 188, then we have 42 by who? Addition, and together they have written 36. So total how much is it? 8, 8, 16, 6, this, and this is 2. So somewhere around 286, but here the total number is 271. Okay, so you only go for this. I just added this to just to remember that what they have written. Anyway, the Tatler was closed. Why? Because of these conflict, right, as I told you. And still in addition, then when it got closed, they have started again with the Spectator, but this time theme is Tory, right? Very important. And in 1713, they also started the Guardian. They asked question on the Guardian once, very recent, so it's very important for you to remember. Steele wrote all the comedies. What? The Funeral, The Lying Lover, The Tender Husband, and The Conscious Lover, which is most important because you get always question on that. Like, it will be in match the following or in a statement, not direct question that who has written the conscious lovers, but it will be in what, either in chronology order or in match the following, right? So that you have to remember, very important. And of course he has written some, he was also started some periodicals like the Guardian, the Reader, the Englishman, and Plebeian. So other than Tatler and Spectator, we have what? We have Guardian, we have Englishman, we have and Pleasure. We can just make a code T Tat Spec, and we have Guardian, and then English, and then Plebeian. So very important, you should know all of it because who knows, they might throw you a question on that, or maybe they'll just put some option there, right? So very important. Anyway, basically 100% lover, remember conscious lover, and of course the Tatler. Right. Now, very important text is there, the Trumpet Club. Why I have included it? Because they used to ask a lot of question on the Trumpet Club, and also some of the question. Actually, in the 6 years, I didn't see any question on the Trumpet Club, but I have actually explained it in a very well because it was there in one syllabus. I don't know where that I taught, and I added there. But basically, what you have to remember, the Trumpet Club by Richard Steele, that you have to remember. That's all. The summary are there. Why it is important? Because when you read it, it's really funny and really good to read it. Anyway, I'll just skip this section because in your exam perspective this particular is not important. What is important, that he has written the Trumpet Club. And what else could you, if you want to read more about it, because if you want to be in the safer side, just go to classroom, access the notes, and of course read it, right? And also do the quiz, whatever the question they have asked in the past. Anyway, let me tell you about the Joseph edition here. As you can see, uh, the date 72, as you know, Steele was when, you know the date, 72. So they're twin, right? So it's good. Is it twin? Let me see. Yes. So both are twin. Very good for you to remember. You would not forget, right? An addition kind of twin, where 1672. Okay, and let me tell you about a little bit about again Charterhouse, Oxford, same like Steele twin. They are doing everything together, right? So, and he was a Whig leader, very important, and received a travel scholarship and toured Europe. Whig misfortune in 1703 left him in poverty. Wrote the campaign for who, praising Whig's war policy. The poem brought him fame and fortune. So this poem is quite important in his life, that actually helped him to little bit, you know, raise his standard, right? And Addison received again official appointments. Married to a Dogger Countess in 1716, became what, Secretary of State. These are just minor stuff that you have to remember, right? I'm just going through it so you will know the guy is not just a periodical writer, but he had a lot of feather in his hat, right? On his hat. Anyway, let me tell you about how he died. He died in 1719 at the age of 47. He was quite young, and Addition gained early fame because of the campaign. This thing, it was written in heroic couplet, and the style is mediocre, and the poet and the famous passage about Marlborough, an angel riding a storm, is important, and the full poem is there, that you don't have to, read it, right? And very important, as I told you, they ask question on his drama parts. As you know, the Cato is written by Addition. Remember the date, 1713, just 1 year after what? 2 years after Spectator. Very important that you should know this thing, Cato. So the play lacks merit, showing Addition wasn't a dramatist. So he tried, but he was fail. Again, it is, as always, most of the drama are written in blank verse. So it was Cato also. So Cato resonated with political parties of time, and the play ran for 35 nights and was later revised. His opera, Rosamond, very important, and the drama were both failure, but very important in his life, because there was one option on the Rosamond I have seen in very old question paper. Anyway, Steele published the first issue of the Tatler, remember 1709, and who was the part of it? Addition also, right? And as you know, Addition was Steele's friend and offered to contribute to the Tatler. Addition first contribution, number 18 in the Tatler, semi political. This question they might ask because it's kind of important in his life, because it was the first essay that he has published in the Tatler, and the number, as you can see over his screen, is the 18 with the same what, Shakespeare sonnet number 18. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? So in that you can just make connection and remember. Anyway, let me tell you about the Addition. Wrote 42 in Tatler. As you know, Steele wrote 182, and the Tatler ended how it ended, because of the Tory and Whig interfere. The result, after immediately after the close, that was a Spectator, which was based on the on Tory, right? And before Tatler, I mean the Tatler was what, Whig kind of periodicals, as you can say. Anyway, let me tell you about the Steele. Started the Spectator, as you know, 1711 with who, our Addition, and after 2 years, Addition published a drama, Cato, and it ran daily. And as you know, our Tatler ran when we have a code TTS, right? And Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So very important that they used to ask a lot of question on the date. I mean weekly. So remember, weekly three time, but on the other So that you have to remember. Anyway, total how many copies sold at its peak? 10,000. So people were kind of fond of this Spectator. People, started relish the style of edition, and of course, why? Because of some characters that we're going to talk about here. The character that I'm about to tell you is they are from the Spectator, and they are very funny, very silly, and of course great humor, and of course the political influence you can see in on them, and that anyway we'll talk about. And Spectator, what happened this time? Edition wrote 274. Like in Tatler he wrote how many? 42. But in his Spectator he wrote 274 essays out of 555. Very important. Right. And Steele contributed how many? 236. So 236. So he was also a kind of, he also has written a large number of essays, the Spectator as well. So the Guardian started another that they have started 1713 edition, contributed 53 and ended after 175 numbers. So addition essays, what? Mildly censored moral, of course a little bit about his style of writing. You could see the fashion, jokes, conversation, deeper themes also like immortality, jealousy, prayer and death. And he not only used all these allegory, satire, pun and all, jokes and all, he also used allegory like what? Vision of Mirza. Right, and literary criticism had a mild presence in the essays. I wanted to tell you about the character, right? Like when Steele started his Tatler or Spectator, what was the he? This was the character that he created, Sir Roger D. Coverley, right? And what Addition created is Will Honeycomb, middle-aged debut, Sir Andrew Freeport, a city, and the Captain Sentry, a soldier, and Mr. Spectator, Addition himself, right? And he was a Psy person. So all these characters you have to remember because they might appear in your exam. So anyway, let me tell you about those Coverley papers, and this could have been the first English novel. No strong plot, but essay series near the 18th century. Anyway, that was all about our who Addition. And introducing female character, we have Honeycomb. Another, let me see which was the character. Not here. Anyway, okay, let me tell you about, he introduced what female characters could have been made it a female characters could have made it a full. Anyway, this we can leave it because a little bit doesn't make sense here. And Swift criticized what? The tone of a Spectator. And what he said, I will not meddle with the Spectator. And Swift felt the Spectator was too soft, focus on the fair sexes. And you can just see, I have just added here from book phrase is from his Spectator, and all of this you can read it. Like, as I was yesterday morning walking with Sir Roger before his house, a country fellow brought him a huge fish which he told him Mr. William Wimble. So William Wimble is there. So all these text that you can read in the notes if you want. Anyway, I've just put it to show what kind of writing he was doing. I mean the style and whatever the you know characteristics that he has in his writing. Anyway, let me tell you about other work that he has written. Some letters, a letter from Italy, a poem to His Majesty, an epistle to Dr. Arbuthnot. This was also written by who? Our Pope. Remember that at the end, where all these things are there, like willing to strike, but no, willing to wound, but afraid to strike. So these things, these lines were also there. A lot of lines are very important in epistle to Dr. Arbuthnot that you will find in Pope section, and that we have already discussed in our previous session. Anyway, let me tell you about all the periodicals also. We have already discussed the Tatler and Spectator, little bit more about it. And then we'll also talk about a couple of more by Samuel Johnson, because this is important and you get question basically what to gather in a chronological order and also match the following. So in that case, we it's very important that we should a little bit pay attention. Anyway, let me tell you about the Tatler here, which is written by Steele, as you know. I mean, started by Steele. You know the number of essay 272, and then 42 by Addison. All these things, you know. What else you can remember here is that it also influenced what Charles Lambs and William Hazlitt also influenced the Spectator. The next, when it got closed, the Tatler got closed, they started the Spectator. And of course Johnson's Rambler and also Idler, there were two that he has started. Who? Johnson. Right, and Steele in addition indicated the Tatler for a fresh with the Spectator. What is important here that you should know the line when he mentioned about it. It was actually in Spectator, that I'll tell you anyway. So let me tell you, Steele used, as we have already discussed, Isaac Bickerstaff, right, and the first consistently adopted journalistic persona. So he was a journalist in the that periodical and all the essay. I mean, the thing it was told by him, right? So inspired many characters like Overbury, Sapsbury, all these established by. Anyway, the Tatler featured what gossip and law news. Anyway, we have discussed everything here already in the. This is just added for your question to answer, because there are questions based on that. That's why we have added here. Anyway, let me tell you about it. Also involved Jonathan Swift and Joseph Addison. Remember, it published in three times. We have the code TTS, right? Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And the Tatler ran what? Remember the date, and it got closed because of the Whig and Tory interference. Anyway, the character you should know, and what else you could remember here. That's all. And in the Spectator, what I wanted to tell again, you know the number, how many number of essays that Edition in Steele wrote, right? And of course, total number is 555, and it was revised 1714, right? And in number 10, Mr. Spectator said to enliven morality with wit. And what else is important is that it brought, you know, uh, gossip. Anyway, I thought I have put the line here, but it's not there. Anyway, I'll share in the group. That was very important line, and I wanted to add it here, and I kind of forgot to add. That's very important actually, right? Anyway, I'll tell you. What else you can remember here? Uh, this paper will be more useful to female vault. He recommended the paper as a part of tea equipage, and the Spectator provided topics to, for polite and social discussion. It promoted family, marriage, and courtesy, reflecting enlightenment values. So anyway, we already discussed about the Spectator. This is some extra thing that I have put it here. Anyway, the Rambler, we're going to discuss about it in the John when we talk about Johnson's literary career and life, what else he has did for our English literature, that we'll talk about in a section. But I have put it because some of the questions are there which involves the Rambler and the Idle. Remember the date 1750 to 52, again only 2 years, and both of these 2 years of said. Remember the Rambler by Samuel Johnson. That's what you have to remember. Published twice, TS, Tuesday and Saturday. Johnson most consistent and sustained work. The Rambler total article is 208. Right, and on the other hand, Idler, as you can see over your screen, is also by Johnson. Again, it ran for 2 years, and the Idler was a series of 103 essays. Remember that, by Johnson, published in Universal Chronicles. So what else you can remember? The Vulture essay was omitted due to anti-war strife. But anyway, what you have to remember, the chronology order of this, and then you are done, right? And that's what you are going to get in the exam. Anyway, if you want to read more, you will get in the text itself, and where we'll get in your Google Classroom. So let me tell you about the questions here. So now we are done with all the things about Steele and Richard. What we are Steele and Addison. What we are gonna do now, we are just jumping in the PYQ, whatever the question they have asked in the past, what 6 to 7 years, guys. So all these questions are important. One question is certain that you are gonna get in the Tatler and in Spectator. You might get question on drama also, drama part of both actually, Steele and Addison. The Conscious Lover by Steele and the Cato is by Addison. Both are equally important because we have seen this in the exam. Anyway, let me tell you about the question here, and the question number first is on your screen. Again, it's about chronological order. Again, all the magazines are there, then you can make it right. Spectator will be first, of course, so A should be first, and then we have London. It is in modern time, it's in romantic time, right? So it could be maybe late. The London magazine, let me see, 1732. Kind of confusion here. A, the London magazine. The Spectator, we know the 1711, and anyway the date is confused here a little bit. Answer key is that you should know that Edinburgh 1800. So if you put it like that, 1732 is our London, and then we have our Edinburgh Review, which is 19th century, 1802, and we have the what the last one, the Spectator. Okay, so why it's not a Spectator coming here? Because we are talking about 19th century magazine. Very important to know the date, because we got confused because of that itself, right? So this Spectator was not only the periodical in 18th century, but also in 19th century it was a magazine. So I have put it here, the explanation, to make it clear. The Spectator magazine, it was published in 1828, which falls within the 19th century, and the Spectator periodical is completely different. That's why the date is kind of confusing here, and that's what happened, because we didn't pay attention to the question itself, right? So that thing could happen, like it happened to me right now. It could happen to you too. So this mistake you should avoid, and it's very important to reach in the correct answer. You have to actually pay attention. So anyway, the answer it shows here, A should be the first. The London magazine, 1732 it says, and quarterly. Then we have D, the Edinburgh Review, 1802, and then we have C, Spectator, which says around 18th century. Date is not mentioned, I guess. Yes, 1828, and at the end we have what, the Quarterly Review, which is 1808. So before that it is Quarterly Review 9. So very important that you should know all of these dates. So if it was, they would have asked just the chronological order, then she would have been the first, C would have been the first, right? And you could have answered this one too. So anyway, that's all about in question number 1. And again, started what again, chronologically order, 1709, Examiner, Spectator 1711, and the Examiner is by who? Our Samuel Johnson, right? Examiner is in the Lee Hunt is in the 1808. Rambler is by who? Johnson, and the Examiner is what? Our Romantic Period Time by Leigh Hunt, John Hunt and Leigh Hunt, both the brother. Very important that you should know. Anyway, so if we know the answer, 1709, 1711, A should, and then C. The review is by who? The review is by Daniel Defoe. We didn't discuss Daniel Defoe yet. He is coming in our next session. So very important that you should know that he has also started the magazine, and they have asked question on that many times actually on the review. In the recent time they have asked the question about the review, and it was all direct question, not like in ABCD statement, but it was direct question. The review was founded by which, you know, uh, writer, or which founded by who. So it was Daniel Defoe. Remember the date, 17 not. Or so we have first the review, then we have Tatler, then we have what, a spectator, and at the end we have examiner. So all you have to remember, right? And again, arrange the following period. Again, chronology, all the time you are getting question on the chronological order. Rambler, again, Rambler by who, so we have clear answer here. The Tatler should be the first, then we should have the spectator, then we should have what is the Rambler, and at the end it's easy to answer after the session. Anyway, arrange the following, again all the chronologically order. And as you see, we have already discussed, right? Hey kind woman, why would you cheat on your husband Frank with the uh, our guest, right? So this is the whole plot of the Woman Killed with Kindness by Haywood. And again, the double dealer, we have all the code for this, right? And Shoemaker's Holiday, Deck Your Shoes in an Attire, remember, by Decca. And the Conscious Lover is by who? Steele. So that's how you can answer, right? So we have who, what is the first? We have double dealer, and double dealer, we have actually made the code also for that. We have double dealer by Congreve, right? So that, no, so a woman killed with kindness, you will be able to answer easily. Anyway, let me tell you about next question. Is question number 5. Find the chronological order of the writer in terms of period they belong. So tell me which period Dryden, Bacon, Arnold, Lamb and Steele belong. So first we know 800% would be who? Bacon should be the first, the earliest guy, right? So D should be the first. And the second, what can you say? It will be Dryden, right? So Dryden again. And then this is Dryden. Number Dryden is what? C. So D and then C. The next is our Steele. Very important. That what we are discussing right now. A. And then Matthew Arnold, Victorian. This is what? Romantic. So we can just put B and at the end E. Right? Easy to answer. Right. So our Bacon is Jacobean, which is D. Jacobean, right? And then we have C, which is Dryden, Restoration. And then we have Steele, which is right now Augustan, or transition, you can make it Augustan. And then we have what? Richard Steele. We're left with Lamb, which is romantic, easy, right? And Matthew Arnold, which is Victorian. So easy to answer if you know the date and where they belong. If you know the period, then it'll be easy for you to remember. Question number 6 coming on your way, and this is all about again chronologically order. As I told you, they are not asking direct question. They are only coming in chronological order. Again, who came first? Again, Bacon, Lamb, Virginia Woolf, Matthew Arnold. Easy to answer. Bacon again, Jacobean, right? Jacobean, our Bacon is in B. Then who else can come early? Arnold in Victorian, modern, romantic. We are left with Addison. Addison belong where? A. Belong to our Augustan. Then we have Lamb, who belongs to romantic. Then we have Arnold, who belongs to Victorian. And we have Wolf, which belong to modern, right? 20th century. So BAC, and this is what? E. So BACED. So answer is our BCAD. BACD. Answer, right? Anyway, that's how you answer if you know it, right? What is the correct chronological sequence of the following text, right? If any one of this you know, you will be easily to answer. So the advancement of learning of a Jacobean, right? Apology for poetry, Elizabeth. So obviously Elizabethan came before Jacobean. So an apology would be before what? Our A, right? And the uses of a spectator, late the spectator 11, which is our Augustan, you can put it here. uh, C. So BAC is the code in the beginning that you can easily get it. Even if you know one like B, you will be easy to answer, right? Again, the defense of poesy, the advancement of learning, the spectator, and the essay of Ilia, which is actually what? The essay of Ilia, my relation, okay. My relation. Remember that. The essay was there in essay of Ilia. A Man and Woman, you know, is by Robert Browning, and the poem was How It Strikes as a Contemporary is a part of this collection. Right, so this kind of question you get. Anyway, question number 8, Joseph Addison was associated with what? Spectator and Tatler. Rambler is by who? Samuel Johnson. London Magazine is by Leigh Hunt, and London Magazine and The Gentleman's both are from the Romantic period. Let's confirm. The London Magazine is by who? Okay, not the name is not mentioned, but remember 1732, and we have The Gentleman's Magazine, which is 1731, and it goes till here 1922. The Rambler is by genuine Samuel Johnson. So easy to answer anyway if you know just these. I mean, the question is about both. We are just doing extra research to make it clear for you. So addition, what? Spectator and the Tatler. So answer will be B and D. Answer, right? Question number, other explanation we just talked, and which of the following, as you can see, titles of the periodicals. So titles, what? You know, Guardian, Richard Steele wrote, and you know what? We know the Metamorphosis, French Kafka, right? So all these are actually periodicals. Let's explain it, because as you can see, A, B, C, A, B, C, D is a work, others are all periodicals, right? Anyway, we'll all discuss all of this when we reach in their section. Till now what we know, only Richard Steele, so we have the answer here, right? And Charles Dickens actually started what? The Household Words, as you know. Household World, this was a periodical or a magazine. Samuel Taylor College started that, Friend, a weekly journal, very important. And Sir Richard Steele, as you know, our Spectator and the Tatler, and also the Guardian, right? And couple of more that we have already discussed. And Lee Hunt, as you know, the Examiner. He also started the Reflector, the Indicator, and the Companion. Metamorphosis is an allegorical narrative by Austrian author Franz Kafka, and again, it's not a periodical or a magazine. And tomorrow we're going to talk about Jonathan Swift, not today, because we have already exceeded our time. And tomorrow we're going to talk about Swift. And when we talk about Swift, we'll solve a couple of his questions. And there are, like, in 6 years, not many of the questions, but they definitely ask a question on Jonathan Swift, right? So we have like 1 in 2 4 5. So total 5 to 6 question we have seen it the past 6 to 7 years, right? So that you have to keep in mind while we discuss Jonathan Swift. Anyway, this we're gonna discuss tomorrow. So thank you all today. That's all we have. And tomorrow we're gonna talk about very important Swift, and also we're gonna talk about Samuel Johnson. And if we'll have enough time, we'll also move to where actually Johnson will take whole class, because we are getting like a lots of question based on him. So somewhere around 3 questions you see from Samuel Johnson, and some of them are direct, and the rest of them are actually indirect. Like what kind of, who said about Johnson, or possible, they are equally important. Anyway, well, when we discuss Samuel Johnson and Jonathan Swift, and these two are very important, and that will cover tomorrow. So thank you so much, and have a and I want to tell you that you should join the course as soon as possible, because today we are starting paper 1 as well at night. Very important, paper 1, very important that we have to start paper 1. Okay, very important, you should join, because the notes gonna be very small and very good one, and going to focus on PYQ, all the PYQ on paper 1. Very important session is coming on your way. I'll just prepare. Anyway, notes are already prepared, and also we have completed paper 1 previously. So it'll be really good when we start again in our live session. So thank you so much and have a good day. Again, I tell you, subscribe, join Telegram, WhatsApp, and what you can do is like and comment, and if possible share. So thank you so much and have a good day. Bye bye.